Shawn, great to finally get together with you. We've been talking about this for a while.
That's right.
And it's been fun getting to know one another over the last few years with our mutual interests. Not only being dads, but our mutual interest in the community.
That's right.
And
So it took you how long to get here from Chicago?
only 2.5 hours.
Only 2.5 hours. So you drove it, I flew it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, sometimes that's what you have to do, right, to get together.
Yeah. Well, it is great to be here. And I don't know exactly the nature of the conversation, but I'm hoping we can talk about New Look.
Yep.
And an idea of what's going on there. Talk about Team Dad, and maybe get caught up as far as what's going on with each of our families.
Yeah.
So
Sounds good.
maybe that would be a good place to start.
The family's doing good. 4 kids, twins that are 18 months, so you can see the bags under my eyes are still there and growing each day. But it's a blessing. I was sharing with you earlier that as I was getting dressed, I was sharing my coin. My daughter, my 5-year-old, picked up my coin. She was putting everything in my bag, and she said, "Daddy, you want me to put your coin in the bag?" I said, "Yeah." And so I just took a moment to say, Daddy carries this every time I fly because it reminds me of you and Mommy and Madison and Shawn and Holland. And I could see it in her face that meant a lot to her at 5 years old. And I think that's why I enjoy getting together with you because, business aside, it's just good to meet someone else who values fatherhood and, who's dedicated to fatherhood and understands the mistakes of fatherhood, but also enjoys the highs of fatherhood. So all is well. All is well with the family. What about you?
Yeah, good to hear. Yeah, it's been busy, but not as busy as it used to be. I look back and think about where you are. Your kids are young. The joke that us dads have is that small kids, small problems, big kids, big problems.
That's right.
And it's just like anything else. It's a circle of life, if you will. And our oldest is out of college. We got 2 girls in college, and then we still have 2 in high school. So.
But now Emily, who's at Pepperdine, right, is looking to go to Kenya, and I forwarded you an email about the Kenya uprising. How does she take that email?
She said, thanks. She's probably more concerned about what her mom's going to say.
Is that right?
And, as parents, you are concerned for your kids, right? And we're going to rely on the not-for-profit organization Made in the Streets to make sure that this is a safe environment, right? But it seems like a dicey place right now, with the election, the Kenya election that just took place. And it's very helpful to know that, you traveled there, Gavin traveled there, you traveled there with a group of young people. And, in most cases, it's all good.
Yeah,
but, you just want to be smart, right, as a parent, right? And make sure that your kids are not only getting good opportunities, but, that they're not put in harm's way or doing things that are, frivolous.
Yeah, and it seemed like it never ends, So my girls are 5 and 6 and 18 months, and I worry about them, playing in the backyard, or going to school, and I guess it only gets worse when they start to travel internationally, So.
Yeah, well, we got a couple steps in between now.
That's right.
The middle school years seem to be the more challenging years, just adjusting socially. And then by the time they get to high school, you just hope that they're still talking to you. And, once they're off to college, you're like, oh my gosh, what happened?
That's right.
It just seems like just yesterday. I can remember them being born, each of them, right? So I've only been a dad for 23 years. Right?
That's right.
Young days, 23. And I'm telling you, it's like the blink of an eye. It's gone that fast.
So if you had to give a young dad, or a dad with young children, top 3 pieces of advice, what would it be?
Yeah, it's a great question. I would say try to be as engaged as you can every step of the way, right? And strike a balance between, what else is going on in your life, right? It's faith, family, friends, fitness, right? You know, you can take your eye off the ball, any one of those four for any short period of time. But if you don't have some type of balance in your life, then I think that it's going to show.
Right.
Right. And the third thought that comes to mind is just being a role model, right? And making sure that your kids understand the type of relationship that you and your wife share, right? Because to your boys, they're going to learn from you how to treat a woman, right? By how you treat your wife. And your daughters are going to understand what it's like to have a relationship with a woman, because you're the first man in their life, right? And you know, sadly, that's not the case for lots of kids. You know, that's what drew me into this 16 years ago, was that Emily was, I think, 3 at the time. Addie was just born. And my greatest fear in life at that time was a fear of not having a strong relationship with my kids. Fortunately, I had a strong father figure growing up, my grandfather. But, you know, I don't share a relationship like I would like to have with my own dad. And I witnessed that my dad didn't have a strong relationship with his dad. So I didn't want to fall into that trap. So as I was looking for fatherhood resources, couldn't find what I was looking for, but stumbled across the fact that some 4 out of 10 kids are growing up in a father-absent home, which translates into about 24 million kids nationally. But more alarming was the fact that 500,000, 600,000 kids are born every year in America without even a dad's name on the birth certificate.
Wow.
I was like, holy moly.
You
know, that just seems objectionable. And as I talk to people, nobody seemed to know those statistics. And that's what sort of propelled me from an intellectual standpoint to get involved, do something about it. So it's been a journey. Being a father is a journey, and trying to help make a difference in the lives of other kids is a challenge.
Well, you know, and you see the ramifications of that all the time. You know, I've been working in a nonprofit since I was 14 years old, 15 years old, and you know, I lucked out. Although I grew up in the inner city, you know, we're one of the only families that had a father in the house. And
Your family?
My family, yeah. We, you know, on our block, my dad was actually, you know, he was kind of the block's father, you know, the disciplinarian of the entire block. And so we're lucky. But you know, as I have worked in nonprofit, I see the ramifications all the time of the kids who didn't have a father growing up. You know, they don't know what it means to be a real man, so someone steps on their sneakers and they shoot them, you know, or they feel like getting a girl pregnant is, you know, what being a real man is right? And you know, it's interesting because for me personally, I've dedicated my life to helping youth. And once I started having my own kids, I was traveling so much, working so much, and I kind of had a aha moment with the help of my wife to say, you know, how wives help all the time. But you know, it was an aha moment to say, you know, listen, if I save the world but lose my own children, what have I really done? And I had to reprioritize, to your point, and make sure that, you know, I love it when I hear a kid like Friday. I spoke at Accenture, at an event for Accenture, and one of our youth said, you know, Shawn was like the father that I never had, you know, and that's powerful to me. But it's also sad to me because I don't spend a lot of time with these kids in the grand scheme of things. And so if I can be that father figure, what does that really say? You know, so although I enjoy that, I also have to remember my kids, you know, have to take priority first and foremost over everyone. And so, yeah, I mean, you see the ramifications all the time.